We are continuing in the speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1992, shortly for just months before he had this debilitating stroke, which afterwards he wasn't able to speak. And here the Rebbe is talking about Paro. Paro is a very important figure in the Torah. Paro was the king of Egypt, and practically speaking, he was the king of the whole world. And he held the Jewish people in prison. I mean, arguably, he was the lowest person in history. Arguably, I mean, Egypt, it says, was the lowest country in the world as far as morals go, and debauchery, decadence went, and was number one. Right, the worst place in the world, the most immoral and the most how do you say, licentious, whatever place in the world, Egypt. Terrible. To the degree that there's even a Torah, there's a law in the Torah, don't do what they did in Egypt. It's forbidden to do what they did in Egypt. And it explains in the law books, these are all sorts of sexual things. You're not supposed to do lesbianism and all this stuff. So it says you're not supposed to do it. Okay. So Egypt was the lowest place, and Paro was the king. He was like the king of the, how do you say, the twisted people, king of the twisted people. But nevertheless, he was created by God, created by God. He ruled the whole world. So God created him, and he was God's competition. And it seemed that he was winning, right? He was winning. God was almost about to shut down the store, right? All of the workers for God all went over to him. They were all serving Paro, huh? It's like you have, the two car companies or whatever, and they're competing one with the other, and all the workers from one company go over to the competition company. You got no workers. The same thing. All the Jewish people are supposed to be working for God, making the world better, and they were all working for Paro. Right? The factory is empty. All of them. Paro, he's the evil person in the world. He's ruling over everything. So God says to Moses, "Okay, Moses, you're going to let the Jewish people go. You're going to get them out." And Moses understandably said, "Come on, I mean, God, listen, maybe pick somebody else. Do me a favor. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Paro is not going to let them go. And who am I to take the Jewish people out? I'm one person. I'm going to take them out. Even if all the Jewish people at once went to Paro, he wouldn't let them out. He wouldn't let Paro. They have ultimate power, rules over the whole world. Who are we?" Moses says, maybe send somebody else. So God said, "Come with me to Paro. Come with me. Come with me. I want to show you." So this is after Moses already made 7 plagues that didn't affect Paro at all. You figure a normal person would see, the wonder of God, the power of God. He brought frogs into the whole place. He brought, what is it? Hail that had fire inside of it. You don't see that every day. Just falling down from heaven. That's all. Paro said, "Well, I don't care. Do what you want to. I'm not going to let the Jewish people go." So you figured Moses would say, "Listen, God, it's not working, man. It's just not working. It's not working. Just either kill him, Paro and all the people, or to find somebody else to do it. But it's just not working. We're wasting our time." God said, "Don't worry. Come with me to Paro. Boil Paro." That's how this week's Torah portion starts. Says the Rebbe, what's God saying? Come with me to Paro? What does it mean? God said to Moses, "I want to show you where the source of Paro is. I'm going to take you up to the source of Paro." And Moses said, "Whoa, not me, not me. I mean, I can't deal with Paro as he is here in the world. It's scary enough. Well, you're going to take me to his source. That's like 1,000,000,000 times more powerful than Paro. Please don't." God said, "Don't worry about it. What are you afraid of? What's your problem? What are you afraid of? You're going to take all the Jews out. You're going to get the Torah. Come with me to Paro. I'm going to show you something you couldn't believe, something you won't believe." What is it that Moshe won't believe? That you can have the Paro, the essence of Paro, what Paro is is a very holy place. It's just that Paro misused this holiness. And it came down into the world, and it became morphed into something that the opposite of what God seemingly wanted, but in fact, that's what God wanted. God wanted there should be something opposite him. God wanted that. Why did he want it? So that Moshe will transform it. So he said, Moshe, come with me. I want to show you something. I want to show you how the essence of God can be enclosed in a person, in a building. Right? You're going to be the person. The building is going to be the Holy Temple. Eventually, every Jew is going to be that person. And the whole world will be a Holy Temple. That's the whole name of the game. That's why I put the Jews in Egypt. That's why they're getting out, only for this purpose. Right? And Moses said to God, listen, God, I don't know what you're talking about. God said, of course you don't know what I'm talking about. No one knows what I'm talking about. That's what I want to take you into Paro and show you that what's going to happen is something above understanding. It's above comprehension. No one can understand it, but that's what's going to be. That's what's going to be. So that's what he said, Moses, this is a big thing over here. God is saying, come with me at the Paro. Paro means Priya, means totally open. The essence of what reality is, the essence of the purpose of reality. Come with me, God said. I'll take you. You can't go on your own. It's too much. You won't be able to take it. Because we're talking about, I want you to remain an entity in yourself. You're not going to die. You're going to be Moses, a human being that has a wife, a family, mother and father, an address, a place in the world, 2 feet. He wears clothes. He eats meals. When he's on Mount Sinai, he didn't eat, but a normal person like everybody else, a normal body like everybody else. Not slightly different here or there, but right. And in that is going to be revealed godliness. That's preparing, of course, for the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple is going to be a regular building, just like a regular house you find anywhere in the world. It's made of stone. It's got a roof on it. It takes up a place. It's a real estate. Right? It's got measurements. The Holy Temple, and there's going to be revealed the essence of God there. You can't do that. Of course, you're right. You can't do that, but God can. God can do anything. And eventually that revelation is going to be not just in the Holy Temple and not just in Moses, it'll be in all the Jews, in all of Israel, and eventually be in the whole entire world. Because that's the truth. The truth is that God is everywhere. He's creating everything. But when God reveals in the world, it won't negate the world. Exactly the opposite. It will enliven the world. It'll justify the world. It'll show that every detail of the world is supposed to be there. Like putting the puzzle together. Okay, now we can explain the idea. Why is it that God did this novelty? One second, let me get my pointer. This novelty of Boel Paro, of taking Moses to the essence of reality, to Paro. Shemoshe Kaneshama, that Moses, as a human being in a body, would be able to receive the revelation of Esperiu Kol Horim, is opened and revealed all of the lights and revelations of God. Why did God do it? Yuvan al Yidei, it will be understood by means of the explanation of what is going to be, what was in general Galut Mitzrayim. Why did God put the Jews into Egypt? Shabaro Paro, that this going into Paro, this is the preparation and the beginning of the, I'm sorry, made a mistake, of Geulat Mitzrayim, of going out of Egypt. What is this whole idea of going out of Egypt? Right? Why did God have to put us in there and then take us out? Don't put us in there in the first place. What's the whole idea? What's the idea of Geula? Okay. Ready? Hakavana de Geulas Mitzrayim, the whole intention why God took us out of Egypt is Matan Torah, to receive the Torah. Kafi she'omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like God said to Moses immediately in the beginning of his mission at the burning bush. What did God say to Moses? At Hashem, when you take the Jewish people out of Egypt, ta'avdun et Elokim, you will serve God on this mountain. The novelty of the giving of the Torah is Natinat Torah, giving the Torah and the commandments below to the Jewish people, souls and bodies. Why? not in order to go to heaven. That you can go to heaven, but that's nice, but that's not the purpose. In order so that you will be able to fulfill the ultimate purpose in the creation of the whole entire world. Why did God create the world? Why is God creating the world? This is a very big question. This should be a question which is, it should be, how do you say, foremost in our minds all the time. All the time. What am I doing here? Why is God creating the world? The tendency of man is not to ask this question. And even more to say that, why am I not asking questions? There's no question. There's no question. What do you mean, why am I here? I'm just here. That's it. That's the way it is. That's nature. It's like asking a question, why do dogs bark and cats go meow, meow, and birds chirp? Why don't dogs chirp? Right? Why don't cats bark? That's nature. That's the way things are. What are you talking about? That's it. The same thing. Why are we here in the world? Nature. Just nature. That's what it is. Some people even went so far as to say that there's evolution, that the nature is the ruler, and that the nature created us. How was the first thing created? Also nature. Everything is nature. Just happened. Maybe we don't understand how everything began, but we'll eventually understand that also. Nature. But what does the word nature mean? Nature basically means something that can't be understood. It's the nature of things. Says the Rebbe, the fact of the matter is, I got something that you also won't understand, but this is also part of nature, namely that God created the world. And he created the world, and he's creating the world, and he's creating the world for a purpose. All that is totally not understandable. Not understandable. That's nature, but it's a godly nature. Why did God create the world? God desired liot lo, to have for himself a dwelling in this physical world. This is presupposing that God exists and that God is creating the world, that God created the world, and that God is creating the world right now, and he's creating the world for a purpose. This is faith. Faith. Pretty wild. But on the other hand, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. It might be true. Might be true. What if it is true and you don't believe it? Okay, so you didn't get the truth. You can go all through life that way. Very good, right? You can go through life believing false things. It's possible, but still, you didn't really do the truth. They didn't really do the truth. You missed something. You missed something. It's so important to do the truth. Well, if it's important to you, then yes. If not, then not. I mean, what happens if you don't do the truth? Nothing. Nothing. Here you see people do all sorts of terrible sins, and they make them into, the heads of countries and the heads of the United Nations. They're sitting over there. Each one of them is more evil than the other one, and they're succeeding. They're sitting up. They're earning whatever it is, $30,000 a day or some crazy wages. What? Just for being evil. That's what they're paying. Paying to be evil. So evil pays off. Don't be mistaken. It doesn't pay off. But you don't get the truth. Some people are willing to lose money to be honest. They're willing to lose whatever it is in order to be faithful. To lose fun in order to do what's true, what's right. They're willing to do it. That's called a dwelling in the lower way. Using this world as a dwelling, as a vessel for honesty, for truth, for love, for positive things. That's what God wants. What is truth? Torah. The only truth in the world is the Torah. And what comes from the Torah? When the soul is put into the body, in the body, tachtona, that from the fact that the soul goes into the body and the body covers over the soul, there will be a revelation of God's essence. Revelations of God's essence. Listen, this is not such a really weird idea. Just take a simple example. You take, healthy guys, healthy people, and they're normal, healthy people, and let's just take one person. I take one person, a healthy guy, a working man, and you say to him, okay, listen, I'm going to put you in this big field, and I want you to run back and forth, wherever you want to, just run constantly back and forth, and once in a while, kick the air and just run around and kick it, and I'll give you $20,000. You're willing to do it? Person will say, yeah. I say, do it. Then he's running around, and you bring his friends, his boss said, I want to show you this. Look at these guys are nuts. Look at him. He's running around in this field. There's nobody there. Just running around like a maniac, and he's kicking and everything like that. And the boss says, "Hey, Jones, you're fired. You're nuts. What are you cracking on?" Right? Well, that's what soccer is. What is soccer? You get 10 normal, there's 5 people on a team, right? I don't even know how it's played. Let's say 5 people on a team, and they run around like maniacs, and they're kicking this ball, and they're running into each other, and they're running around this, and they get paid, who knows, $50,000 a game, whatever it is, $100,000 a game, what do they get paid, right? Why? What's the, because there's an opposition. There's an opposition. It's a contest. They're bringing out new things. If a person is alone, he does it, he's a nut. But if there's a competition, then he's motivated. Oh. The same thing, God puts us in the world, and we're motivated. We have a job. The world opposes us, and we want to take the world, not defeat it, but transform it. Transform it. We want, eventually there should be one big team. Kamo Adam, like a person that's found in his whole being, when he's in his house. God wants to have a dwelling in this world, just like a person when he's found in his house. How much more so regarding God? God is creating the whole world. When he's in his house, this world, God wants this world to be his house. Let's say, totally in the future redemption. Then this physical world will be the dwelling place of God. We'll see that this world is more important than all the upper worlds. Like it says, says your teachers will not be concealed from you anymore. You won't, everyone will know everything. Who God will be here in his dwelling place in this world without any concealment. Even without any concealment, the highest possible concealment, the upper worlds won't conceal God, because it says the angels are also freaking out. They're all burning up to God because God is far away from them also. This is so the world where the angels are, the spiritual worlds, that's going to heaven. After a person dies, it goes there. That's also a concealment of God. It's just less of a concealment. Like it's known that before God gave the Torah, there was a decree that the upper worlds remained upper and the lower worlds remained lower. Elyonim lo yardu lamata. The upper worlds didn't come down and the lower worlds didn't go up. You wanted to be holy, you had to be not connected to the world. Not connected to the world. On the other hand, if you were connected to the world, you couldn't be holy. Right? The upper worlds couldn't come down here, and the lower worlds couldn't come up. That's what. But there were people, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It says that Chanuch, that they broke through and they had access to the upper worlds. But when they did, they weren't physical anymore. They couldn't be. I mean, they were physical. They weren't, I say, involved in the world at all. They were involved in the upper worlds. And Mount Sinai, everything changed. All of a sudden, the simplest person, a person that's totally ignoramus about what God is, he puts on tefillin, he's connected to the essence of God. The lower worlds went up, and God came down. This is Natinas Koach that was given power to draw down into the physical world the revelation of the upper, highest worlds, until the darkest, until the highest possible levels, until the essence of God. That's what happened in Mount Sinai. The simplest Jew can do a commandment and bring the essence of God into the world. Kaksha Guf, the physical body in this world, will be holy, and it'll be a dwelling for God. And the whole entire world will be revealed. That's the importance of the commandments. That's why all the rabbis say, there's no Judaism without commandments. You can't have, conservative Judaism, we keep a couple of the commandments. Reform, you don't do any of the commandments. You don't do. Other religions say you don't have to do any commandments whatsoever, nothing whatsoever. But it's a new world. It's a total lie. When God gave the Torah, he gave the commandments. And with the commandments, you can reveal the essence of God in this world. That's what the commandments are. You've seen people do commandments, you don't see any revelation. Of course you don't, because you're not used to feeling what God is. You have no idea what God is. That's why we have to do the commandments, so that everybody will have an idea and feeling. And this is understood, that in the exile of Egypt and going out of Egypt, going into Egypt and going out of Egypt, this is a preparation for the revelation of God's essence in the world when he gave the Torah. When God gave the Torah, the essence of God was revealed on a mountain, and to all the people below the mountain also, in a physical Torah. This is stressed, the connection of the first of all, there had to be a negation of this decree that the upper worlds didn't come down, lower worlds didn't go up. That the barrier between the upper and the lower worlds was dissolved. That was at Mount Sinai. And all of a sudden, Mavar, in this took the world from 2,000 years of separation, 2,500, 2,000 separation between the upper and lower worlds, and it's a preparation that's going out of Egypt. And this is a preparation for the total revealing of God when he gave the Torah. So we can say that the main thing of this is the commandment of Moses, boil Paro. This is the preparation. So let's just make a short summary. What are we talking about? We're talking about something very bizarre. But the truth, the ultimate truth, and there is no other truth, that this world, every second of it, is here for a purpose. And the purpose is that man should internalize this purpose and work for it. What is the purpose? The purpose is that the creator should be revealed in the creation. Dira b'tachtonim, to reveal that this physical world is infinitely good, infinitely high, infinitely holy, infinitely alive, infinitely meaningful. This is where God himself wants to reveal. The whole world should be like a holy temple. That's our goal. That's the goal of life. You're happy you're working at a job, you get your name in the newspaper, you won being president of the United States, you're happy. You're happy. It's good to be happy, of course, but don't be satisfied. Don't be satisfied. Every minute of your life should be devoted to only one thing, to making this world a truly holy place by means of all the Jews doing the commandments. That's what Moshiach is going to do. The preparation that even there could be such a thing like this, that was what happened on Mount Sinai. The preparation of Mount Sinai was the Jews were in Egypt. They were in Egypt, and they left Egypt. The preparation for going out of Egypt was this week's Torah portion, where God said to Moses, "Come with me to Paro." That's the preparation for this whole new breakthrough, that this world can be a perfect, holy place. Nowadays, when you say the word holy, you think that it's something that's, in some sort of a monastery or something like that. No, exactly the opposite. Holy means alive. Holy means dynamic. Holy means connected to the creator. The creator is exactly like he's creating everything all the time. There's nothing more alive than that. And this all began when Moses was told by God, "Come with me to Paro." How so? Well, let's explain. Then let's proceed. We find something similar when Moses went to take the Jewish people out of Egypt in general. Before God said to him, "Come with me to Paro," before all the plagues. The Bir Tainus Moshe, when Moses complained to God, and he said, at the burning bush, right? At the burning bush. So it says Moses saw this bush, it was burning, and it wasn't consumed. It just kept burning and burning and burning. So that's pretty weird. Go over there. And God said, "Hi, Moses. How you doing? I was waiting for you to come." Moses said, "Well, it's pretty amazing. You've been waiting for me." He said, "Yeah, take the Jews out of Egypt. Go into Paro and tell him, I want to take the Jews out of Egypt." So Moses said to God, "I can't talk. I got a speech impediment. My mouth, my tongue doesn't work. It doesn't work properly." There he said, "You know what, God? Shalach no biyad tishlach. Maybe send somebody else." Explains in a lot of places, but Galus Mitzrayim, the exile of Egypt, Dibur, the speech of Moses, was in exile. Therefore, Moses said, "Sha'al Yado, by means of me, you can't take the Jewish people out of Egypt by means of me." It's like a person that's fell down into a hole. So how does he get out? He pulls himself up. You can't do that. Moses is in Egypt. He's stuck there. He says, "I'm stuck in Egypt. I can't even talk because of what happened in Egypt. My whole holiness is gone. I can't take the Jewish people out of Egypt. I'm part of it. I'm part of it. My speech is also in exile." The source of it is like this. Biglal Milas Moshe, because Moses was so holy and so incredibly godly, that on his own, he was on a level which was totally above any sort of being able to speak. Lamaila afilu miagilu, even higher than the written Torah and the oral Torah. It says, another place says, covered lashon. Where is this here? Let's see. In the Zohar. It says in the Zohar that what Moses said, I am, where is that? Here. Because Moses was so high, therefore he couldn't go down. That's what he said. He was covered peh, but covered lashon. He said, God, I am, my mouth doesn't work and my tongue doesn't work. It says in the Zohar, it says that Moses was too high. He couldn't come down that low. He couldn't come down low enough to speak about these things. Like sometimes if you're really interested in something, your wife comes and says, tell me, did you buy, how much did you pay yesterday for that detergent? And you're thinking about something, I can't, tell me how much it was. Was it 554, 657? I want to know. You can't talk, right? You have to stop what you're doing. So what did you say? What did you ask? 554. Oh, it was 554. You can't talk. Same thing. Moses was so involved with holiness and godliness and pure, revelation of the Creator. He couldn't talk. It says not only that he was higher even than the Torah. Covered peh, that's the Torah Shabbal peh, that's the oral Torah. Covered lashon, this is the written Torah. Moses was higher than both of them. Moses was connected to the Creator, the writer, the composer of the Torah, to God. Moses was covered peh. What does it mean? The source of Moses came from Tohu. Remember we learned about that last week? Tohu. The Tohu, it says that the lights are so great that they're not able to be put into vessels. That's where the breaking of the vessels came from. It said, that's the ending of covered peh. Shaloya yochal hashpia or seichlo l'toch kli peh. That he couldn't put what he thought into his speech. Couldn't thought that it was too high, too holy. It says that the Arizal once went to sleep. This is on the Shabbos. He went to sleep for like a half an hour. And they saw that his lips were moving. And when he woke up, the Arizal is Rabbi Yitzhak Luri. He's like the father of all modern Kabbalah. Incredibly holy person. This is when he woke up. They said, what did you see? He said, what I saw in that half an hour, it would take 60 years, and according to another opinion, 80 years to explain. If I talk constantly. In other words, it was so, you couldn't, what he saw couldn't be expressed in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's where Moses was at. Therefore, Moses said, Shalach biyad shalach. Moses said to God, God, come on, I'm too high. I'm too removed from the world. You want me to go and talk to Pharoah? Where am I? Where's Pharoah? What do we got in common? What do we got in common? Nothing whatsoever. What am I going to talk to Pharoah about? Right? Let the Jews go. Okay, but I don't know how to say it. I can't talk. I'm involved in spiritual things. Therefore, Moses said, you know what? Send somebody else. Send the Moshiach. What are you going to do? You're going to take the Jews out of Egypt, and then afterwards you're going to have another time to take them out. Send Moshiach and finish the business right now. Dahainu mishu ma'olam hatikun. Send somebody that's from the world of tikkun. In the world of tikkun, like we said, there's many vessels, and they can contain these lights. Don't send such a holy person. And this God said to Moses, misam pelo adam, you say you can't speak. Who created your speech? Halo anochi, I did. Anochi eyein picha. Anochi is the essence of God. That's like the first word in the Ten Commandments. I will be with your mouth, and I'll tell you what to say. What's going on over here? Moses said to God, God, I'm too holy. I'm too spiritual to be talking to Paro. I can't bring it down. It's impossible for me. And God said to Moses, yeah, you're right. It's impossible for you, but it's not impossible for me. I'm going to be with your mouth, and I'm going to unite two opposites, your holiness with the lowerness of Paro. Here, let's see. Mitzvah atzmosa, from God's essence, which God can do anything. And God is the source of the human mouth, and also the source of the spiritual mouth of the world of tikkun, and these big lights of tohu, right? These tremendously high lights of tohu, which can't be revealed, where Moses was. Who yachol lifol So there Moses couldn't unite with his mouth. Mouth is very limited, and Moses was unlimited. Says God said, yeah, but I'm more unlimited, and I can unite. I'm not limited to being only spiritual like you, Moses. I can unite the highest spiritual to the physical. That's really being unlimited. God is able to bring about that even in the exile of Egypt, even by Moses, that on himself he was totally above any sort of revelation in vessels. It was just removed from the world. There will be a revelation of speech in your mouth. I will be with your mouth. You are not going to be doing the talking. I'm going to be the talking through you. What does it mean? That even though that the source of Moses from Tohu, there's no vessels that can possibly contain this truth that Moses felt. But God said, but me, Ani Hashem, I made these vessels of tikkun. I made the world of Tohu. I'm the one that created spirituality. I'm the one that created evil. I'm the one that created the source of evil, which we said was the tremendously high surrounding level. God said, I'm able to transform the highest levels into the lowest levels. Tohu and tikkun together. Both of them. That they should be tremendous lights as they are in Tohu. That's what the Lubavitcher Rebbe, by the way, said that we should all do. Should unite Tohu and tikkun. That you have to be unbounded enthusiasm, unbridled enthusiasm. You have to be enthusiasm to the degree of craziness, of insanity. Crazy, but it has to be within the limits of Judaism. Clearly within the limits of Judaism. That's called the lights of Tohu, that you're totally berserk, crazy for God. But in the vessels of Tikkun, it's brought in Bati Lagani, we just finished learning. The Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, there was this big famous rabbi in the time of the Talmud, and he was very austere and an old man. Everybody honored him, and he would go to weddings and he would juggle. And all the rabbis said, "Stop it! You're embarrassing us. Important rabbis don't juggle. Every time after you juggle, we walk through the streets. No one, says hello, kavod Rav, right? They say, hey, you know how to juggle? How much does it cost to invite you to my wedding? Can you maybe? I got a unicycle. Can you drive on? People are embarrassing us. Come on, Rabbi, you're embarrassing us." It said that in the end, when this rabbi that used to juggle, when he died, it says a pillar of fire in the shape of one of these sticks that he threw up stood between him and all the other rabbis that were against him. And they all said, it looks like this man was right. And the Rebbe explained that he didn't just juggle these sticks anytime, only at a wedding, because when there's a wedding, there's a tremendous high revelation of godliness. So he controlled his insanity. It's called controlled craziness, shtut de gedusha. Allah Sha'az, then in Egypt, I am God, I'll be with you. There's the revelation, the ability of Moses to speak to Paro was a miracle, a revealed miracle. And the time when Moses spoke with Paro, Dvarov Nechonim, he said proper words. And in addition to this, Aaron will be your Naviecha. He'll explain to Paro. But Dibarto Allah, you'll speak to Paro, Vasamto is the Barim Bapir, and you'll put words in his mouth. And Aaron will be for you for a mouth. In other words, what happened? Moses spoke to Paro, and also Aaron spoke to Paro. Moses spoke holy words to Paro. Paro didn't understand, but he knew it was Moses speaking, and it was understandable. Moses was bringing Tohu into Tikkun. And then Aaron came, and he explained. The Rebbe brings out that he also translated. Moses spoke to Paro in Hebrew. Paro didn't understand Hebrew. The reason that he spoke to Paro in Hebrew because it was exactly the words of God. It scared Paro. It didn't scare him. It scared him enough that finally, in the end, he had to surrender. In order that the word of God, Yitgaleh, will be revealed completely. So therefore, God sent Moses and also Aaron to explain it down to the littlest, tiniest detail, even in nature. Moses wasn't healed. When Moses only got healed from his speech impediment at Mount Sinai when everybody got healed. It says in Mount Sinai, the blind saw and the deaf heard. Shalochim, therefore, after that, Omer Moses said, Ani Arel Savatayim. After Moses went into Paro, Moses still said, I am Arel Savatayim. I am my lips are covered over. I still have the same impediment. The Rebbe says it was even worse. This was brought out by means of what? A revelation of the essence of God, Anochi. I will be with your mouth. Of Matan Torah. When God said, Anochi, Hashem Elokecha, the first of the 10 commandments, that healed everybody. The essence of God was revealed. Anochi is the name of God's essence. This is the beginning of the 10 commandments. And therefore, Moses had the ability to take the Jews out of Egypt. Why? Even though that his speech was in a way of exile, his speech was impaired. He couldn't speak. His speech was in exile. So Moses was in exile with the Jews. Said, I can't get out. Look, I can't even talk. And God said, don't worry. I'm going to give you a big revelation. You'll be able to talk and you'll walk and you'll take the Jews out. Everybody will be happy. Rak bichdei, in order that there will be the revelation of these words of Moses completely in the world, there had to be breaking the klippa, the evil of Egypt. If you want to have this miracle that God did with Moses, that he revealed the highness of Moses in the lower world, he linked the ultimate spirituality of Moses with the ultimate physicality of Egypt. He linked them together. But in order for this to be in the whole world, everywhere, it had to be, first of all, the destruction of Egypt. That's what he said, I will be with your mouth. This will bring afterwards the revelation of the God speaking. Not just Moses will be able to speak, but God himself spoke at Mount Sinai. Then Moses was healed totally. Okay, so what did we learn today? We learned that this idea of God telling Moses to go into Paro was the uniting of two opposites. Moses was the holy of holies. Paro was the lowest of low. And God gave Moses temporarily the power to come down from his holiness while retaining the holiness and give it over to Paro, uniting the highest level of upper worlds to the lower worlds. This is the beginning. Afterwards, this gave the ability of God for the highest level of his upper worlds to come down to this physical world at Mount Sinai, linking together the highest and the lowest to be one. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do the Yom Yom. 1 second.